think all right, I want to apologize for the people from other countries and Zimbabwe. Sorry, we are talking about our issues, but you will kindly excuse us. So today, this chapter, we want to look at information security threats and want to understand what are they, why do we even need to concern ourselves with these threats as security engineers. So moving forward, information security, information systems are often vulnerable and have sensitive, confidential information that needs to be communicated. Therefore, they are under threat in various scenarios through various means. And this class uses some of the case studies about common attacks to introduce the possible threats to information systems. So upon completion of this course, you'll be able to categorize information security threats. You'll be able to describe common information security threats means upon completion. So the current situation of information security threats, we want to look at the current situation. So there are endless security incidents. Even recently, I mean, there have been so many security incidences that have happened. Even some, they just don't come up openly to tell you that this incident has happened, but there's so many. And Huawei just picked out a few of them. We looked at the WannaCry in 2017, which was a ransomware attack that broke up at about 8 p.m. and spread worldwide, and computers infected with WannaCry were vulnerable to attacks once turned on. So attack through malicious code like viruses, Trojan hordes, worms, and etc. We also have more than 90% of telecommunications fraud is target fraud through using precise information of citizens. You'll be there doing your things, and then someone calls you, says, "Hello, how are you, Mr. Biaruhanga? How are you doing today?" As a responsible person, of course, it's courteous of enough of you and respectful to respond, and you'll be like, "Hello, sir, how are you?" "Hey, I've been okay. You're lost on me." I'm like, okay, I'm lost. Oh, who is this? In your mind, you're starting to think, who is this person? Yeah, lost. I'm around. Yes, now I am wondering, how have you been? I've been okay. And then before you know it, he even tells you who you are, where you live. Hey, if you're living, let's say somewhere in Kampala, how is Kampala or how is Mbarara? And then because you know you're living there, automatically someone is attacking you with precise information. I even ask you, how is your neighbor? And you know, this person must be a long-time friend and someone like that. And before you know it, he has introduced a very malicious deal to you that looks appetizing, and because he has played with your psychology to make you believe that you actually know him, or the two of you are related, and you end up either getting our personal information breached. And 2017, still, there's the traffic of users of multiple software applications in China was hijacked using software update. And the users thought they were upgrading the systems while they were actually installing viruses. So you get a notification on your operating system on your phone, hey, WhatsApp needs updates. Click here to update. You update, you're thinking you're updating WhatsApp, only to realize later on all your bank accounts have been zeroed out. So in February 2018, just a few years ago, the popular online game Final Fantasy, that is version 14, suffered a 3-hour denial of service attack, distributed denial of service attack. And around 2016, 5 major Russian banks suffered from distributed denial of service attack lasting for about 2 days. Like, there are people out there on the internet, they use the network, they know that once they, flood your server with requests, it will be overwhelmed, and then it will not be able to process and do what it has to do. And then your actual authorized users cannot access, guess what? We looked at 3 things on our information triad, and we said we have confidentiality, we have integrity, and availability. And if you look at all these incidences, they are either violating one of them, either personal information breach, they're violating confidentiality, distributed denial of service attack, they're violating our availability of information, and also hijacking our data and changing things you're not getting actually the actual upgrade, but somehow you're getting something fake, which is also later on going to attack you. So there's no integrity in that. So when you look at all these threads, they are looking at violating those three things in our CIA triad. So the beginning of cyber war, there's this incident of Stuxnet, and in February 2011, Iran suddenly announced it was to upload fuel from its first nuclear power station. But previously, the industry said Iran needed only 1 year to be able to be capable to quickly create nuclear weapons. However, because of this attack, it ruined 1/5 of the centrifuges of Iran, posting the research for the last 2 years, or postponing the research, or delaying research to last for about 2 years. Something which was supposed to happen in 1 year ended up adding other extra 2 years because someone figured a way of coming up with a ransomware and installing it on those computers, which ransomware could actually also go and change the state of devices, network devices.
Oh boy, you look depressed today. What's going on, my boy?
Mechanical devices and etc and etc. So this Stuxnet malware was the most sophisticated cyber weapon in history, because it would propagate all the computers, and it would even be able to change the state of hardware devices, either heat them up or turn them off. Even hardware devices that actually not necessarily operate like computers, like thermal heaters and all those things. And it infected over 45,000 networks worldwide. But Iran suffered the most out of it. It attacked employed multiple attack means, and sometimes it would be in form of a computer worm. It exploited mobile media to implant viruses, and also the first worm capable of targeted attack of physical energy infrastructure facilities. It was the first of its kind to be able to target the physical energy infrastructure facilities. The evolution of information security attacks, they've been evolving with time. And as you can see, they form attacks are largely unchanged. Usually hackers use the same things. The things that were using in the 1980s are things that they're using even up to date. Like, let's say, for example, current attackers still use viruses. You agree, right? They still use phishing. They send you funny messages. Hey, when you have won a lottery, hey, you can upgrade your WhatsApp. Hey, anniversary, WhatsApp anniversary, get 100 GBs. MTN is giving away this. So they also use target vulnerabilities. They look for the vulnerability in systems, and also much as it was in the past. So they are all using all those things. So it has not really changed a lot. They're still using the same mechanism. And the diverse attack purposes, the attacks target range of targeting personal computers to being used to influence economy, politics, war, energy, and even global landscapes. You hear that people hacked into government, websites or political websites, and it is so even business websites. So most sophisticated attack means a major attack usually requires sophisticated deployment, long-term incubation. Those guys sit down and plan for you. They don't just happen. They plan for you, long-term incubation. They try out this, they try out that. And of course, they also combine multiple attack methods to achieve their ultimate goal of making sure they bring you to your knees. Okay, so cybersecurity threat categories. We are going to look at 3 major categories. One being the threats to cyber security. When it comes to
Mic
threats,
check. Mic
yes,
check.
please.
Yes, please. Can we switch off Madam Wape's video? We are failing to concentrate.
Oh, Madam who's?
Mwape.
How am I able to see Madam Wape? Mwape. I hope it's a safe video.
Mwape Nambe.
Yes.
Okay.
A weird video.
It's a weird video. Okay. because I was recording, and if it's not a safe video, kindly let me know so that I turn down the record for her safety and peace of mind. Wouldn't want to have something on the internet where someone unintentionally put on their video. I've had so many of those incidents. Someone forgets they're back home, they're put on their Zoom, they're attending a lecture, they forget, and they feel tired and they have to put off clothes, and put on their casual wear from their official wear, and before you know it, the class is all not concentrating like our colleague has mentioned. So I hope we are safe. Are we?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay. So we are looking at the different threat categories. We are saying, one, we are looking at threats to cybersecurity. With cybersecurity, we are looking at things like the distributed denial of service attacks and network intrusion, someone accessing your network without permission. And we want to look at category 2, which is threats to application security. Here, we are looking at software, right? We're looking at application security. We're looking at a set of instructions put together to achieve a given goal. So we're looking at softwares. And here, softwares, we can look at always vulnerabilities. What are the vulnerabilities in our operating systems? Can it be manipulated by hackers? We're looking at malicious codes, things like viruses, Trojan horses, and worms. We're looking at phishing websites, those websites that keep telling you that you have won data, or you have won money, or you have won a lottery, and they end up stealing your data, or even data breaches, someone intentionally leaking the data using that application. Like, let's say WhatsApp leaks and all that. So these are some of the security categories. So threats to data transmission and device security. So we have seen 3. 1, cyber security. 2, application security. 3, data transmission and device security. We need someone who is hitting things. So in cyber security, in data transmission and device security, we are looking at how when devices are communicating, can our communication be hijacked? Can our traffic be hijacked and listened to by unauthorized people? Can there be a man in the middle to perform attacks and maybe disorganize our communication and steal information, or even unauthorized login? Someone is there and they log into our devices minus our permission, or even weak security protection for our wireless networks. We agree that most of us, when you buy devices, you don't even bother changing the default user accounts. You have bought a MiFi at home, you even don't bother. As long as you change the password to your Wi-Fi, you're absolutely sure you're very safe, right? Your neighbor cannot log into your Wi-Fi, but you have forgotten to change the password to your management portal. Your admin account, your username is usually, let's say, like admin, and also the password is usually like admin, and you have not changed them, and you're happy and you're using them. Or some of you don't want to remember hard passwords, so for you just decide, you know what, my Wi-Fi, let me just name it something, and my password 1 2 3 up to 8, because I'll easily remember it. So weak security protection for our wireless networks. So let us look at the threats to network security. So the first category, we are looking at the distributed denial of service attacks. And there was one example, which was against the Dyn company, the DNS service in the United States. This is just a case example. The Dyn is a DNS software as a service provider, whose core service is providing managed DNS. We looked at DNS and we know what DNS means for its users. And these attacks severely affected their DNS services, preventing the users or their clients from accessing their websites. And because Dyn serves many companies, the damage caused spread quickly and also causing serious harm. More than 100 websites became inaccessible due to attacks for as long as 3 hours. Now, 3 hours are really long for companies like Amazon to be down. Amazon alone suffered a loss of tens of millions of dollars because Amazon every minute they make quite a number of transactions. So for them being down for even 3 hours, it's going to cost them a lot of money, or it's going to make them lose a lot of money. So here, what happens, they come up with zombies, and the zombies launching the attacks mainly consisted of network cameras. Zombies is a group of hijacked Internet of Things devices that have been taken control over, and someone can use them to establish attacks on our network. So they usually mainly used network cameras. They used the DVRs. Those are devices that are used to control our CCTV cameras. They used them, and also hard disk recorders, and also smart routers. So they used these routers to all send requests to the dying servers, and by the end of the day, the dying servers were overwhelmed and they were successfully able to establish a distributed denial of service attack on their servers. So the Mirai botnet infected millions of devices, of which only 1/10 were involved in this attack. So currently, the internet has many zombies and hosts and botnets. Driven by the desire for profit, distributed denial of service attacks have become a major security threat to the internet. So someone may not steal your data, someone may not do anything, but they can just make sure that they block you, and people are unable to access your services, and your services are down and inaccessible. So this happened around in October 2016, where it was hit by a distributed denial of service attack from about 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. UTC, and the attacks paralyzed nearly half or half the networks in the United States, because so many people use Dyn for their DNS services in the United States. And we say that Amazon lost about tens of millions of dollars. And these large-scale attacks were launched from botnets formed by Internet of Things devices, which were affected with the Mirai malware. So how the Mirai malware was used to attack those Internet of devices. So what they used to do, they used to crack their devices, like let's say those routers, and they have weak passwords, or your fridges which are connected to the internet, or even the cameras, the IP cameras that are connected to the internet. So they used to crack them, and they used to use brute force. When we get some time and we're doing the offensive kind of part of the course, we shall look at what brute force is and how we can do it, and implant the Mirai malware into the devices for remote control. So after, when they are done, they first scan and look for these zombies where they are. They scan for them. They be like, oh, we're going to use port 23 for telnet, and to scan and see how many service ports we can get on the network. And once we get, they use the brute force to try and crack their passwords to build their botnet. After, when they are done, they load the attack module, they load the DNS distributed denial of service attack module, and then after, they launch the attack through the botnet, making customers' websites inaccessible. That's how they performed their attack. So let us look at a different attack. We have looked at distributed denial of service attack. Now we also want to look at scanning. Scanning is a potential attack action. I want us to pay attention to that. And it does not directly interrupt network devices. However, it gives you relevant network information before an attack. Okay, so people can do address scanning, and they can also do port scanning. So an attacker sends an IMP packet to a destination address, or uses a TCP/UDP packet to initiate the connection with a certain IP address. By checking whether they are response packets, the attacker can determine which target systems are live and connected to the target network. What they do, remember our three-way handshake? The attacker is here, and they want to guess and see. But do we have any kind of IP address of this range on this network. They're connected to your Wi-Fi. So they will just try and establish and use the TCP packets and send them. Once it gets a reply, the SYN plus ARC, right? It will know that, oh, actually I can successfully establish a connection with that PC. So that PC is there. So they have scanned and they know that target is there on the system, and they can use that information to be able to come up with an attack. Also here with port scanning, an attacker probes the network structure by scanning ports to identify the ports open to the attack target, so as to determine the attack method or the attack mode. The attacker usually uses port scan software to initiate the connections to a series of TCP UDP ports on a wide range of hosts. Based on the response packets, the attacker can determine whether the hosts uses these ports for providing services. We're going to look at this and how we can use those different services later on. There's another attack here, which we are calling spoofing attack. And here you're obtaining the control permission. So attackers can obtain control permission by brute force cracking of passwords. Also, attackers can launch spoofing attacks such as IP spoofing to obtain access and control permission. They hijack and take over your IP address, and the machine will appear as if they're communicating to you, and yet in actual they're communicating with the attacker. So the IP spoofing, an attacker may send packets with forged source IP address destination to target host, obtain superior access and control access. So that's what they do. Launching the distributed denial of service attack. Remember, we said you need Internet of Things devices, and the attacker resorts to every possible means to control a large number of online hosts. This large number of online hosts, once they control them, all of them, and they become under the control of an attacker, this is what we are calling the zombies, right? And so the controlled hosts, we are calling them zombies, and the network consists of an attacker, and the zombie is what we are calling a botnet. So this attacker and zombies is what we are calling the botnet, right? Is what you're calling the botnet. So he uses them, and once he gets them, he exhausts your network bandwidth and also exhausts your network services. So all of them, like let's say there are hundreds of devices, and all of them have been, configured to access your server at the same time. So this will enable him to either control or even attack your traffic. This is what we're calling a distributed denial of service attacks. So, but they can be, carried out in a number of ways. Either they can be based on the types of exploited attack packets, like the popular one is usually the SYN flood, or even sometimes they can use the UDP flood or the HTTP flood, or even the HTTPS.
Mic check.
Like the one line which was DNS.
Mic check. Mr. Sandy, you are faint.
What?
You are faint. Your voice is faint now.
Oh, is it me only? Is it him only, or is same thing for the entire class?
It is him only.
Oh, so
Him
kindly
only.
check.
Him, we are getting you clearly.
We're able to get you clearly.
All right, thank you.
Maybe his network.
Mic check.
Guys, if
Mic check.
yes, please.
I'm sure if you're in Zambia, then it's the network. The network is really bad in Zambia right now.
Oh, sorry about that.
It's not very bad in Zambia. It's actually very good.
All right, sorry about that. Okay, so this is what we are calling the distributed denial of service attack. So defense measures against cyber attacks. How can we defend ourselves against these cyber attacks? Yeah, we can protect through professional equipment like firewall or even the anti DDoS devices. So the firewalls, deploying firewalls at the intranet egress, or at the entrance of your intranet, of medium and large-sized enterprises, and data centers can effectively defend against common distributed denial of service attacks and traditional signal packet attacks. You can also use anti-DDoS devices. Solutions provide professional anti-distributed of denial services for carriers, enterprises, data centers, portal websites, and online games, or even videos, and even the DNS services. So this is how we can be able to protect ourselves from cyber attacks. So we are looking at the network threats. Let us also try and look at the application threats. So application threats, we have things like the worm attack. This is an example against Weibo. Sina Weibo, the Chinese Twitter, they have also their version of Twitter. It's called Weibo. It was once hit by a worm that infected over 30,000 users in less than an hour. You can imagine. The attack process was as follows. What it does, exploit the web vulnerability. The attacker creates a user account infected with the worm and then sent the worm link to a public section, okay? So this, everyone, whoever clicked on that malicious link with the enticing titles and got their accounts infected. So that was phishing. He sends it to you with enticing titles. So once you click on it, also your account gets infected. Like you see people on Facebook, I keep telling you, hey, you have won this, click this. Hey, click and see how you look like when you have aged. How you click and see who you will marry in the next 5 years, like as if really Facebook can be able to get someone married to you in the next 5 years. So you also go ahead because you're interested. You want to know how your wife would look like, and you go ahead and click on the link. They may even bring for you results and you're happy. It has selected one of your crush, but before you know it, your account has been infected with a worm, okay? So after infecting it, it also makes sure that the infected user accounts automatically posted and sent out private messages to their followers. So you'll be there and you have sent, I did not send this message to this guy, only to find out people are now calling you, apologizing. Please forgive me. It's not me who sent you the pornographic videos. Someone hacked my account, isn't it? Who has heard of such scenarios before?
We've had them.
Yeah, those are common.
Yes. So someone, but this is how it actually initially happened, right? So the infected messages increasingly exponentially infecting a large number of users that eventually led them to take down the website because it was no longer usable and people were getting messages, weird messages from each other, and that's what happened. So threats brought by vulnerabilities. Vulnerabilities said they are weaknesses, weaknesses in a system or a device. So vulnerabilities are defects in the implementation of hardware, software, or even the protocols or in the system security policies. They allow, if you have defects, if you have weaknesses, this is going to allow attackers to access or to damage your systems without authorization because you already have a weakness. So if system vulnerabilities are not fixed in time, the following attacks may occur. They may be able to inject codes in your, your site or your systems. They may also be able to do what they're calling cross site scripting. And this is a type of code injection. Hey. What is happening?
It's an attack.
It's an what? It's an attack. Okay. All right. So where were we? We were able to overcome the attack. So we're looking at cross-site scripting. Am I sharing my screen?
Yes.
Yes. And we are saying it's a type of code injection attack launched by exploiting security vulnerabilities of website application. It allows malicious users to inject code into web pages to compromise users who view the web pages. This type of attacks often involve HTML and client-side scripting languages like JS. So we also have SQL injections, and you can also use them with our XSS injection to come up with that kind of attacks. And if you are interested in going away all the way to the HCIP, you'll be looking at this more oftenly because it's more of an offensive course. You'll be learning how you can use it. Okay, but the most common means of launching an injection is by constructing an elaborate SQL statement and inject them into the content submitted on web pages. Popular techniques including comment characters, identical relations, and join queries, or even union statements, or even inserting or tampering with data using the insert or update statements. That is what we're calling injection and the cross-site scripting. So there's also malicious codes. Malicious codes, we looked at some of them like viruses, what, and also data breach. So if vulnerabilities are not fixed in time, the following attacks may occur. So we already looked at phishing, right? Phishing. Someone will come there and send you enticing message, and before you know it, you are passworded into falling for the attacks. So phishing is a cyber fraud. Don't fish people, they will arrest you and you will have to, answer for the crimes you have committed. So it is a cyber fraud, and it is a fraudulent attempt to obtain users' private information such as bank or credit card account and password, often for malicious by using the URL or web page content of an authentic website as disguise, all exploiting vulnerabilities, all unauthentic website server program to insert dangerous HTML code into some web pages of the website. So someone just comes here like you think it's Amazon, but instead of www.amazon, they just go ahead, you see, and change something just briefly, and they change the code, let's say to A, they put it A with this alpha beta code. So their domain is amazon.com. You go ahead, select what you want to buy, punch in your credit card details, CSV, expiry date, and before you know it, you are receiving a notification from your bank that your account has been debited with such and such amount of money. So before accessing a website, always cross-check and see whether its address is encrypted before you start using it. Always just make sure that, dear customer, due to issues with payment system, please log into the system. Whenever you see such messages, usually they are fraud. Do not rush to log in and access your things because you'll be taken for granted. So malicious code, we looked at malicious code and we said this computer code that deliberately is developed or constructed to cause threats or potential threats to a network or a system. The most common malicious code includes viruses, Trojan horses, worms, and backdoors. So malicious code is also called malware, and it which includes adware, spyware, malicious shareware. Malware basically refers to the software that is installed and also runs on a user's computer or other devices without explicitly notifying the user or obtaining the user's content. So things like Trojan horses, worms, viruses, backdoor, all these can be used to propagate the network. It can be downloaded from the internet, and they can affect your computers, and they end up, affecting your files. So I want to look at some of the things. So when you are web browsing an email, you be careful with the attachments you download, because you may be in position to download maybe viruses or Trojan horses or spyware, depending on the things you have downloaded. I received a call from a colleague. They downloaded an email, a JPEG, just a picture, and it had a virus which corrupted all their files to an extension of .t, .z, .xy. And guess what? It's a ransomware, and they won't be able to recover that data. All they have to do is to do either reverse engineering, which is certificated, or just wipe their data and proceed. We said the viruses, they are just basically a set of instructions or program code compiled by an attacker by exploiting inherent vulnerabilities of our computer software and hardware. It has a self-replicating mechanism. but also it needs a host for it to be able to live. The Trojan horse is a malicious computer program exploited to control another computer. Basically, its role is to help it control another computer. So a Trojan horse usually has two executable programs. On the client, it has the controller, and on the server, it has the controlled part. So the server is implanted into a target computer, and the hacker refers to the computer that uses the controller to enter the computer and runs the server. And then after, he can be able to get all the information that they need to get from you. Whereas the worm, it is a malicious program that can exploit the system vulnerabilities. It also propagates itself through the network. It loves moving on the network, from network cables, your devices, to your servers, to your hard disks, to your storage devices, etc. And it uses the network to replicate and propagate itself through the networks and emails. And the major damage caused, the worm can consume host resources and image damage the host systems, which may lead to which may lead to this denial of service attack. And for it, it does not need a host. It can survive on its own. Whereas a backdoor, like you hear the word backdoor, it is a convert function hidden in a program. They give you these free softwares you download from the internet. You're happy, you install it, cracked version, yet you don't know it has a covert function hidden within it. And it's usually designed by the programmer for convenient access to the system in the future. So you may download it, but whenever he wants to get something, he may come back and uses that function to always get access. It's like a backdoor, get access to your devices or computers. That's why when you find serious companies, they won't accept you to install any other computer other than the computer that is that was given to you by the IT personnel. There's also spyware. Spyware, like you hear the word spyware, it's a software program that allows attackers to install backdoors on users' computers without users' knowledge to collect user information. It also collects and uses and disseminates sensitive information of enterprise employees, severely affecting normal business operations. So moving to the next step, how can we able to defend ourselves against these malicious attacks, application attacks? We can do regular vulnerability fixing, and it has to be regular. The keyword is regular. You can also do vulnerability scanning. You scan and see if there's any vulnerability in your applications, and then you do the needful. You can also do patching. Patching is by constantly updating the patches of your software and getting the newest security patches which are addressing some of those vulnerabilities. Let me mute someone who is banging doors. Okay, those are the vulnerabilities. So also improving information security awareness. You can do regular vulnerability fixing. You can also do improving information security awareness by constantly looking out for suspicious websites and links, and share them with your employees and share them with your clients and tell them, you know what, whenever you get something from this, please do not accept, please do not do this, because these websites are suspicious and they will lead to our security breach. That's why when you try to visit some torrent sites or sites where you download things on some networks, you actually find them blocked. And also protection through professional equipment. So you can get professional equipment like firewalls, which will help you protect your network, like the WAF or even the antivirus software. So regularly vulnerability fixing, improving information security awareness, and also, hey, what is happening? I don't know why I keep okay. And protection through professional equipment. Let me get my red color. Professional equipment. So moving to the next slide is threats to data transmission and device security. So we're looking at how data is going to be transmitted and also those devices and how we can be able to protect them. So what are the threats? We can get interception of user communications, right? You can be there, be thinking that you're busy, but then someone is busy intercepting your information. So according to NSA, the National Security Agency, that is in the US, it listened to encrypted communication between Google, including Gmail and Yahoo users on the cloud. Can you imagine? And the NSA exploited the encryption or decryption flow of Google's front-end server to circumvent the server and directly listen to the back-end plain text data. So they're able to use that vulnerability and to intercept, and they were able to get the information that they needed to access. So there's interception of communication that can be a problem. So we're also looking at Tumblr user information breaches. So more than half of the accounts and passwords of the micro blogging website called Tumblr were stolen by hackers. And hackers invaded the Tumblr server in a certain way and stole information of Tumblr users. And Tumblr stated that the breach would not cause damage to users because the database information was encrypted. However, the facts showed that the user information was encrypted using weak algorithms. And if you're using weak algorithms, someone can easily decode depending on your algorithm and crack your algorithm, and they're able to get the password. So after obtaining the encrypted user information, the hackers were able to quickly crack a large amount of user information. So why are information breaches so frequent? They are frequent because if we are all connected to the internet and we are all sharing devices, and we need to pay a lot of attention to how we communicate to the internet, and also the people who are concerned now, like people like you who are getting more knowledge about information security, should be able to implement such things. So what security risks will occur during communications? You have your communications, you may get the man in the middle attacks. You're transmitting transmission security risks. All data transmission not encrypted or inadequately encrypted may be intercepted and listened to. The device security risks, we can see servers with vulnerabilities. You can see users using weak passwords, all user identity not authenticated. So like users can access the devices without being authenticated. That is a threat to our device security, or having weak passwords which can easily be cracked. That is also a threat to our device networks or device security. And also servers with vulnerabilities that don't have updated security patches, also vulnerability. So the man in the middle attack, basically there's a man in the middle and he's there for you communicating. Kumbe he's busy intercepting and listening, or even
Mic
changing
check.
what you're saying. Yes, please.
Yes, sir. MITM attack. What's MITM abbreviations?
The man in the middle.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
All right. So we have the man in the middle. He's busy listening to your thing. So it is a type of indirect intrusion attacks. And in these attacks, an attacker uses a variety of technical means to virtually place a controlled computer between two computers in the network. This controlled computer is called the man in the middle. Consequences is that information tampering, you can tamper with that information. It can also leak or even steal the information. Information not encrypted or inadequately encrypted. When it's not encrypted or it's inadequately encrypted, it may be compromised. However, if the data is encrypted, information may also be stolen and cracked. So threat prevention suggestion, make sure that you encrypt information before storage, make sure that you encrypt information before transmission, make sure you use strong encryption algorithms. Authentication attacks. Here, an attacker obtains user identity authentication information by certain means and uses the user's identity information to steal sensitive information or even call out illegal acts. It is a common form of attack. Prevention suggestions: install genuine antivirus software, use strong passwords, and reduce relevance between different passwords. So this brings us to our quiz today, and we say, which of the following are threats to application security? Remember application security? We looked at their threats, and which ones here are part of our information security. Remember, we looked at three. We looked at network, we looked at application, and what else? Data transmission and device security, isn't it?
Yes.
So which ones were part of application security?
It's B.
There was B, very correct. What else? Yes, someone in the group, Kevin, has said there was A and
Injection.
B, also correct. Because we looked at the injection and also we looked at the XSS, isn't it? This one is part of
Vulnerability. Vulnerability.
Network vulnerability.
Network.
Okay, network. Very well, very good. Network vulnerability. Okay. So which of the following are device security risks? Device security risks. Server with vulnerabilities, users using weak passwords, data transmission inadequately encrypted, user identity.
Like check.
Yes, please.
B.
A.
D. ABD.
ABD. Very good.
No.
ABD. Yes.
ABD.
Okay. Because C falls under which category?
Sorry.
Data transmission.
Application security.
Okay. So the summary is that the current situation of information security threats to network security and threats to application security, and we have also looked at data transmission and device security. Thank you. Let me see the time and also stop recording.